Hello everyone and welcome to our webcast on the transformation of document management utilising cloud technology. My name is Graham Haldane, Technical Director here at Morae Global, and I'm joined today by one of our clients, Adam Walsh, Head of IT at Edwin Cos. Adam, would you mind just taking a minute to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name's Adam Walsh. I'm the Head of IT at Edwin Cos, as Graham says. We're based in Lincoln's Inn Field in central London. I've been the head of IT here for nearly 7 years, but have worked in the legal IT industry for 20 plus years.
Fantastic. So today's going to be a Q&A with Adam, really discussing all things document management and cloud-based technology. But what I'd like to do is almost take a bit of a rewind here. And Adam, just tell us a little bit about Edwin Cos as a firm and also the technical landscape that you find yourselves in.
Yeah, so Edwin Cos, 105 years, I want to say, years old. We're a very traditional law firm based in Lincoln's Inn. We're in a Grade 1 listed building. It's part of our identity, Lincoln's Inn. And so what surprised me mostly of joining the firm was how technically advanced that they were and how much they appreciated the what IT brought to bear for their firm and what it could provide. So that continually surprises me with the partnership's direction and confidence in IT as a department. We're running, we have an on-premise virtual server environment running 2016 Windows servers, Exchange 2016 with Windows 10 and Office 2016 clients. We're running 8.2.2 Adherent for our PMS. We're sort of slowly and steadily growing our cloud footprint for things like our telephone system, legal forms, email archive, and backup storage. We also have utilized the cloud for departmentally specific tools like e-disclosure, trademark management systems, data sharing tools. Relying more and more on the cloud. Back in the day when used to be in a room and say, does anyone use the cloud? No one put their hand up, and then they would ask whether they had certain systems and people realize that they were utilizing the cloud. Well, that's much more in the forefront of people's minds these days. Because it relates to our technical landscape, I'll talk about the effect the lockdowns had on us. So we had been working on an agile working policy for 18 months in advance of coronavirus being a thing, and using all the support departments to contribute to it as a project. The technological component of that had been the introduction of and use of laptops throughout the firm to facilitate remote working using VPN connectivity and a pre-existing Citrix service. And as lockdown materialized, we were very easily able to scale that up radically to formalize a working from home policy from the agile working protocols we'd already established. So we're all obviously running iManage 10 Cloud, hence my involvement in this Q&A, and moving from a hybrid client model of FileSite 9 coexisting alongside a Work 10 desktop to just a pure Work 10 desktop. We want to leaving FileSite 9 on the client, I'd rather stay away from. I want to ensure that the training we're delivering for the Work 10 desktop is used, and that the users are all benefiting from the efficiencies that the new client introduces and not relying on old habits or on the old technology as we introduce the new.
So really then, Adam, picking up on that, especially around the DM aspect there, how long ago did you start to look at iManage Cloud? Obviously, you've been live on the platform now for 12 to 18 months. When did that journey start for you in terms of evaluating what was available to you?
Yeah, I mean, it seems a long time in the forming of it. I've been exposed to White Rabbit as it once was, user conference for iManage, and as that developed into a more formal product, I think everyone was quite excited by it. If you've been using DMS for any length of time, I've been using variants of it for 20 years. I think we're all looking forward to that evolution into a web-based architecture. So formally, we've been looking at this for about 4 years. It was a good 2-year run-up of we used the opportunity of the on-premise VM hardware expiring and coming to end of life, and we didn't want to replace like for like all the amount of resource that we might need were we to host a DMS on-premise. I wanted to see whether V10 was mature enough in the cloud, and it was. People had been using it in the cloud for 18 months to 2 years by the time we came to go live, and I knew that we could time it so that we were not an early adopter on the on that bell curve that we all know, but that we were hitting that curve at the right point for the business.
Yeah. And how did you obviously touched on the partners actually being fairly technically advanced and savvy in some of their decision making. I mean, how did the business react when you started mentioning cloud as a potential sort of enabler to resolve some of these problems? What was the comms, or was there an education piece that you needed to do to the business themselves?
Yeah, as an entity, obviously it's made up of individuals, and there was a spectrum of awareness and of experience in IT, and it went from, will I still be able to access the data, and will that access be a good experience, to the people doing due diligence on working out the integrity and security of the data. We have an IT legal team within the business, and those were certainly questions to be asked. As I say, I think they have a experience that allowed them to appreciate that the cloud is the direction of travel for IT legal, at least, and many others, other business sectors as well. So, we didn't need much persuading, but certainly I wanted to have this confidence that the platform we were moving to was mature, was going to be a secure location for the client data we hold, and would at least be a equivalent experience, if not better. I had my optimistic hat on, hoping that it would be a better experience. I think every demonstration I'd ever witnessed seemed that it would be a positive move, and obviously subsequently with through testing pre-go live, we knew and could prove that it was an even better experience with better performance across the board, with that functional richness that it brings to bear.
And you touched on, I mean, following on, I mean, with any regulated business or any of our clients around the world, that duty of care around data is a serious concern of any business, especially when they're looking at potentially moving it outside of their perimeter, out of being able to touch it themselves and put it into a cloud or even a managed infrastructure. How did the firm approach that, or how did you actually approach that client consent piece and working with the firm to sort of address that?
Yeah, well, it certainly wasn't a solo effort. It was a big team effort in every element. So it started with our legal team and the contract between iManage, Morae, and Edwin Cos to ensure that data security, data in transit, and the functionality, which I had confidence in, would satisfy both Edwin Cos as a firm and our clients. Once that had happened, we needed to work with the compliance team to ensure our terms of business aligned exactly with that contract, where any changes to be made in our letter of engagement reflecting that move to the cloud. Marketing team were also involved in ensuring that communications where we had pre-existing relationships with people, where we needed to communicate any amendments that were made to those two legal documents were communicated to clients where appropriate. So, a big team effort, and a successful one.
Fantastic. And I think that really highlights the fact that it's using the resources around you within your business to enable those types of changes to move forward, working not just with risk, but with marketing, working with your general counsel on terms and conditions directly with vendors, pulling the relevant people in at the relevant point to make sure that things progressed, alongside your strategy of the migration of the content.
Yeah, we've got a really close relationship with our report heads, and that's been vital throughout many projects. So got a good team to work with.
Fantastic. So from an investment point of view, how did you almost justify the model to your management board and to yourself with your own budget? What did you look at when you were evaluating it from that commercial aspect? And what were you hoping as a business to get out of it?
Yeah, I mean, this was a big concern. I went through the budget and had to factor in every element that comprises our previous existing on-prem DMS solutions. So that you begin to realize what supports some of our projects and products that exist on-prem. So we had to factor in the on-prem annual maintenance to iManage, the support partner annual support contract which we have with Morae, the annual consultancy line items we put aside in the budget for offline version upgrades and patching, which were a large part and are a large part of on-premise solution maintenance, and also the server hardware that ran the products and the software that underlay those that hardware. So with operating system licensing and SQL Server licensing, all putting into the pot to then look at what the equivalent would be in the cloud. It transpired it is more to go to the cloud, but I think that side-by-side figure comparison doesn't. It betrays the benefits you get, the proportional uptick in cost to the cloud is dwarfed, in my opinion, by the other benefits that you can't quantify, such as the resilience for the firm, the amount of uptime that the cloud provides. We frequently were getting issues, as we all do, from the DMS and issues experienced that we could say to the end user, this is a known fault with this version of our product. We have a fix scheduled, but we can't do it this weekend. We can't do it. We have to wait a certain period because these are strategic, either version upgrades or patching, and which involves downtime, but also you have the drop in performance because those bugs are affecting people real time. Another major benefit was the lowered admin overhead for the IT team to not have to support the infrastructure on which the DMS ran. So on top of the bug fixes, you have the functional releases that are coming through now from version 10. We've had 2 at least on the components that we operate since lockdown. We haven't had to visit site. We haven't had to drop services. They happen overnight on a Saturday, and they're communicated and released to us well in advance, so we can document, train, and communicate those to staff in advance if there are cosmetic changes to those releases.
And really leading on from that, if you read the industry journals, that people are suggesting and certainly sort of confirming that SaaS really gives you a bedrock of a digital transformation in terms of that ability to remove some of that BAU overhead and actually sort of focus on more value add potentially to the firm in terms of business engagement. Could you share just some ideas around that, about what you've seen? Because obviously you've been live for 18 months. Typically, you would have gone through 2, 3, 4 potential upgrades in that period that would have taken your time out of that. And also, how you're being able to sort of free up some of your specific time in terms of now being more business focused in terms of engagement.
Yeah, I mean, as head of IT, I need to consider, the basics. Are we doing the basics well? Can we communicate easily with our clients? Can we generate, access, manage legal documentation coherently and efficiently? And is our time as IT in supporting those systems, is that time being utilized effectively? or could we have greater impact elsewhere? So, my early years in IT, we were supporting infrastructure, which sustains an environment. It doesn't enhance it. And I think software as a service allows you to lower that admin overhead by no longer having to spend that amount of time on administrating the infrastructure. You can, as you say, value add by looking at the workflows, the processes that you've established or can establish, and identify procedural bottlenecks and build more of a relationship with the user base to provide them with the tools they need that are purposely designed for them to operate effectively.
Absolutely. And it's certainly something we're seeing really across the board now with clients, especially once, the platform has been migrated and people are live, they really start to see the time that they're getting back, or that actual sort of reallocation of time, I should say, in terms of being able to focus more on those types of items than almost keeping the lights on sort of under the hood. That's a good time to really ask probably the $64,000 question, which is, what has the feedback been like over the last sort of, say, 12 months? Are you getting comments from the business? Are people not seeing the value that we were hoping to deliver? What's been that overall sort of messaging back to you and the team?
Yeah, I think there's two parts to that. One is my own feedback, what I envisaged and what I'm experiencing, and my team as well, the IT team, but also the business as well, what they feedback to me. And I think those anxieties that I had with, is this going to perform? Is this going to be an efficient experience? The idea of the physical data existing physically further from the client accessing it unnerved me, I'll admit. But the performance improvement, the performance that we witnessed pre-go live in testing, is a reality. The speed at which the iManage app, work app on the iPhone, performs is as you might expect a modern platform to operate. It's pleasing to use, as is the work web on my laptop, as is the side panel work 10 desktop integration on my desktop in the office. The search tools are much improved. And again, from my own experience, having used DB admin for 15 years, you always hoped for that kind of 21st century experience that we just weren't getting with each iteration of iManage, and that we now have in Control Center and with Threat Manager and Security Policy Manager. These are the tools we've been wanting, and they're hitting our expectation, hitting my expectation, I should say, in being able to do away with the library of SQL queries that we've developed and constructed ourselves over the years to do data interrogation of activity on the SQL, on the DMS database. We now have GUI front ends to do the same, and they are pushing data in front of us and providing tools that we wouldn't have thought of potentially, and using these AI tools to do behavioral tracking that we wouldn't have considered, or it wouldn't have been possible to interrogate the old legacy databases for that information. So releasing that responsibility of no longer maintaining the SQL database or having responsibility for the infrastructure is paying dividends. We're being able to provide much more value to the business as an IT department, and that's what we're here for.
Obviously, during the project, cast your mind back, so we're going back sort of 18 months now to that time, and obviously when we were discussing between ourselves the project approach and really the concern where we're taking Edwin Cos crown jewels, essentially all of that key data, and moving it into the cloud. I mean, how did the project go? What was your experience end to end? And then what was the user impact on almost go live? I think a lot of people are concerned that everything changes day one, or it's all going to, what's going to happen, that fear of the unknown at that point. It'd be interesting to hear the feedback about how the project was performed, but then also how the users felt on sort of D-Day on the Monday.
Yeah, I mean, it was, again, a team effort with, we had Morae involved, Phoenix, as you were, I manage, and Arbro to do the data migration. The Morae project team were brilliant, and you could tell I deal with project teams all the time, external project teams, and the confidence that they had and the level of experience that you can intuit from being with people was evident. They'd done this before. They'd gotten the scars. Other people had given them to them, and that was good. I don't want someone who's done a couple of go lives and they've all been successful. I want some failures to have been experienced. I want that with my team. I certainly had that, and that's made me a better IT professional. So it was clear from the start that they were bringing known issues to the table, and that gave me confidence. The go live weekend, well, obviously there's an awful lot of work leading up to it with some scoping exercises and testing and analysis of our DMS architecture. But yeah, I remember the go live. It was nearly 18 months ago now, and I remember it clearly. It went very well. It was responsibility passed to each team as we went. We handed it off to Phoenix. Phoenix handed it off to Arbro, and then I managed. It was a very seamless process. I was given times and dates, and they were all hit. And we managed to go from a downtime on 6 o'clock on a Friday afternoon to having client access back on the Sunday morning. And so we had a full day of testing to ensure we were good to go. I could communicate that to staff Sunday night, buying myself some time for a Monday go live. No one noticed any difference on day one because we didn't touch the client. But I could tell, albeit I don't think they could, because whilst it's subjective, when you're sitting at your computer, you might not know, but the performance had gone up because we ran some timing tests, and I could already see the benefit.
Cool. So obviously we like feedback in both ways. I mean, what more can we do as a partner to support clients through this journey and pre and post go live? What can Morae do to assist you more?
Yeah, we've got a really good relationship with Morae. I know most of my team know most of the technical support team members. I think your team do a great job. I think the limitation placed on iManage support partners by iManage, by your engineers know how a DMS operates, how the iManage v10 works, and can manipulate it to the nth degree on-prem, but you're not allowed, you are limited in your authority on the cloud. And I think it's most likely an area iManage will visit to evolve that authority to their support partners, because I think it is in their interest. That being said, we do get good access to iManage engineers, and the relationship managed by the Morae support team is brilliant. It doesn't impede us too much, albeit there is a slight delay in that handoff as we run shadowing sessions just to understand the nature of the fault, and then so that they can do some cloud server wizardry to resolve any issue that we have.
Yeah, and that's an area that Morae have been working on over the past several months, really, and we're actually going to be bringing to the table, and already have it out at a couple of clients, a new API wrapper to allow you to manipulate the cloud just via PowerShell, just like you would with an Azure environment, where we're moving over to shell extensions again. So certainly we're talking with iManage about making sure that API is pushed out to allow us more control. Obviously, we need to sort of balance anything we do around security, and really that zero trust access model, which iManage has been so successful in. But certainly it's an area we understand as something that can be raised as a frustration by a client, and we're really trying to drive forward in that sort of innovation space. Just here to wrap up now, Adam, sort of a 30-second question for you here. A lot of clients are looking at data governance, security, retention. What are your plans as a business for that sector? I realize it's an expansive point.
Yeah, so we have two main tasks on the horizon. One is to move from an optimistic security architecture to a pessimistic model. I think a large number of law firms are doing that, and we're well into that project as it stands, taking advantage of SPM to facilitate that. But also records management, we also have taken the option to proceed down that route and are migrating our archiving solution to records management as we speak. We're just post design and we're into an implementation phase now.
Fantastic. So as ever, the clock's against us, so I'm going to have to wrap this up here. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you to you for coming on today and sharing your experiences through the cloud. It's been great to have you as a client for many years, and we look forward to working with you in the future as well. And I'd like to thank everyone for attending our session today, and thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.